Hello everyone, today we're going to discuss the ethical review and legal analysis of the Citicorp tower design flaw. Built in 1977, the Citicorp Center stood up at 59 stories tall and was easily distinguishable with its 45-degree angled roof. But its biggest quirk is the support columns this building sat on. Unlike most buildings, these 9-story high stilts are situated in the middle of each side of the building rather than putting them in the corners, as where you would typically see them to be. The individual to be given credit for this design is the chief structural engineer for Citicorp, William Le Mesurier. The reason behind Le Mesurier's unorthodox design was to accommodate a religious site known as St. Peter's Lutheran Church, which was situated in the area that Citicorp wanted to build their tower. Le Mesurier and his team developed a design that involved the main tower to be suspended above a church with the stilts situated at the middle of each face of the building. But that would have all changed until an undergraduate student by the name of Diane Hartley would meet Le Mesurier, claiming that the building would topple over due to quartering winds. Le Mesurier did not account for the quartering winds, and after doing some math, he realized that the student was correct. The solutions Le Mesurier and his team came up with was to coordinate emergency repairs with the help of the NYPD, an evacuation plan in the case of an emergency, 2,500 Red Cross workers on standby, and a 24/7 weather surveillance team. And this was all kept a secret to the public until many years later after repairs were made. This information was leaked by a writer named Joe Morgenstern when he overheard it at a party.
When considering this case from an ethics standpoint, it's obvious that there were several violations of the Professional Engineers Act in terms of professional misconduct and the Code of Ethics. First of all, during the design phase of the building, one could argue that Le Mesurier was negligent in his design, as he did not carefully consider the effect of quartering winds, ultimately violating Section 72(2)(a) of the Act. Based on his level of experience and the magnitude of the project, it could be considered negligent for him to have overlooked this important factor that the average engineer would have checked. It was also negligent of him to carelessly approve the substitution of welding for bolting without checking its effect on the structure first. Once he discovered that the building could not withstand certain wind conditions, he was faced with an ethical dilemma. Should he report the building's structural issues, or should he remain quiet to protect his reputation? According to 77(2)(i) of the Code of Ethics, it is the duty of an engineer to prioritize public welfare in every situation, and a failure to safeguard lives of the public would be considered professional misconduct as per 72(2)(b). Furthermore, 72(2)(c) states that engineers should report any situation they come across that endangers public safety. If Le Mesurier chose not to report this, he would have been in breach of the Act and would be found guilty of professional misconduct. But by choosing to come forward about the design flaw, he would uphold his commitment to safety and obey the Professional Engineers Act. Ultimately, he made the right decision to immediately fix the issue, although the manner in which he did it is ethically questionable. While he did report the situation to Citicorp and worked with them to repair the building, the danger of the situation was largely kept secret from the public. Misinforming the public about its threat to safety was a poor decision, as the public should have been informed of the potential for an accident to cause severe harm. This would also be a violation of the Code of Ethics, which states that the professional engineer should enhance public knowledge and avoid making exaggerated statements.
So we decided to analyze this case using tort law. Tort law was fundamentally established in the Snail and the Ginger Beer case. Meanwhile, Hedley Byrne, where Heller provided Hedley Byrne a letter on behalf of a client, then established the concept of a special skill that can be relied upon. The three-point test created in Donahue v. Stevenson revolves around duty of care and having to uphold that, and does not require a contractual relationship between the plaintiff and the defendant. In this case, the plaintiff is the owner of the building, Citicorp. We also have concurrent tortfeasors, who are the architect that Citicorp hired, the engineer and his firm that the architect hired, and Bethlehem Steel, who was contracted to construct the building. Stebbins and Bethlehem Steel failed the test, despite both owing a duty of care. Stebbins was the one responsible for the overall design of the building, but Le Mesurier possessed this special skill to do the structural design. Bethlehem Steel did actually propose the change from welded to bolted joints. However, there are a couple of reasons why we don't think that constitutes a breach of their duty of care. One, Le Mesurier's firm approved the change, and two, the unique design of the building meant that the effects of a standard change are less known, which is the engineer's role to check. Finally, Le Mesurier was responsible for ensuring the safety of the building and produced an unsafe design that made Citicorp repair the building. And since tort was only established for Le Mesurier, he is the only one who's liable. Limitations should not be a big deal, as long as the case is brought within roughly the 2 years following the beginning of the repairs. Citicorp could pursue the direct damages for the cost of the repair and consequential damages for a loss of productivity during the repairs. It would probably be decided that Le Mesurier needs to cover the full cost of the repairs, but since they were done in such a way to cause little intrusion, consequential damages would probably not be awarded. What actually happened in the case is that it was settled outside of court that Le Mesurier would pay what his insurance covered, which was 2 out of the estimated $8 million repair cost. Thank you.